Hi, and welcome to a Small Medium at Large podcast. I'm your host, Gail Heisen, bringing you intimate interviews beyond normal boundaries. I want to thank all you listeners for liking, and especially all you who have subscribed to us. We're almost at 1,500 subscribers now, and we love hearing your comments and love hearing that you're sharing our show with other people. So thanks for sticking by us. I believe this is our 122nd show. So let me begin with telling you something about our very special guest today. Dr. Tobi Zausner is a research psychologist, a fellow of the American Psychology Association, a clinician in private practice, and a visual artist with works in major museums and private collections. Dr. Zausner, who investigates consciousness, nonlinear dynamics, cognitive neuroscience, and creativity, is on the advisory board for the Journal of Consciousness Exploration and Research, and an officer on the board of ACTS, the Arts, Crafts, and Theater Safety, a nonprofit organization investigating health hazards in the arts. Dr. Zausner has taught at the C.G. Jung Foundation of Analytical Psychology, Saybrook University, New York University, Long Island University, and the New School. Her first book, When Walls Become Doorways, Creativity and the Transforming Illness, examines the influence of physical illness on the creativity of visual artists, and it is a new edition as an ebook. Her second book, The Creative Trance, Altered States of Consciousness and the Creative Process, Exploring the Consciousness of Creativity, was published by Cambridge University, and she won a Nautilus Book Award. Dr. Zausner continues her work on altered states of consciousness during creativity in her third book, A Work in Progress, Exploring Cognition Across Creative Domains. Let's welcome Tobi here today. Hi, Tobi.
Hi, and thank you for the introduction. I'm very honored to be here.
It's just so happy to have you here, and I just have to share with our listeners that you and I met at a birthday party of Stanley Krippner's in Manhattan a few years ago, and we had an instant wonderful connection with each other. And
Yeah.
that we at that day we said, yes, let's do a podcast one day. So
Yes.
now the day is here, and I'm just so happy to have you here. So
Oh,
I just want to thank you for joining us. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you about, and as long as you like to talk on it, is it's kind of a multi-part question about your childhood, what your childhood was like, where did you grow up, did you come from a spiritual family, and were there any events in your childhood that have been the reason you do the work you do today? And I know you had a special event at 3.5 years old, and hopefully you can talk about all this.
of course I will. I'm a mystic who comes from a staunch atheist family. And I, I I never imagined that I would believe in anything else but the physical world because that's what my mother's family believed in. They were a wonderful group of people. I was raised with them, very diverse, different backgrounds, races, religions, and everyone believed in the same thing. Nothing, so they all got along beautifully, and they were very nice people. Um, I actually became Jewish as a teenager because my wonderful diverse family was all assimilating and they were all becoming, one thing. A nice WASP American. I said, no, I'm going to be an ethnic minority. So, I mean, I was born Jewish, but I was raised half Jewish, so I became Jewish, and now I'm an ethnic minority. And I I was born seeing auras, but I didn't know what they were. And I remember asking my grandfather, who was such a wonderful person, uh, what I saw. I said, I saw something, and it was my mother, and she was angry, and I could see the angry aura. And the expression on his face was like this. And I thought, I misinterpreted. I thought he didn't believe me. I
Mm.
years later, I realized he did believe me, but he was shocked. But I was such I was a very honest child, very truthful. So I didn't want to have anyone think I told lies. So I suppressed the ability. And it
Mm.
only came out in my late 20s. And and it just I started seeing things, and I had a very sweet neighbor who unfortunately got caught up with the wrong people, a cult, and she committed suicide. And I saw her ghost. Her name was Vivian, and she was a very lovely person. And I was not afraid of her ghost because she was nice in life. So I figured the ghost would be nice too.
Mm-hmm.
And but I used the colors of what I saw in a painting I'll show you later. And but I grew up with my mother's words: when you're dead, you're dead, and that's it, and you're buried, and that's all. And that you end with the body. I had a spiritual experience, but I suppressed that too. And when I
Oh,
was about 3.5, I had an accidental drowning in a bathtub.
oh.
And yeah, I suppressed it because it was so scary at first, going unconscious was all this blackness. And that was the going unconscious part. And I only started remembering it in my 50s, that I actually could see my body. I was out of my body. It's at about a 45-degree angle, and there were beautiful spirits on either side of me. But before I tell you about that, I'll say, even though the mind suppresses something, it comes out very often in dreams.
Mm.
And when I was a child, I would have these nightmares of blackness coming into the neighborhood, these black sheets, and people would be killed, but I would survive. But it was very frightening, very traumatic. Eventually, the dreams faded, but it was only years later, in my 50s, when I had the courage to look at what had been suppressed in therapy. I was in therapy, and I had the courage to look at what had been suppressed, that I understood the meaning of the nightmares I had as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important, if you work with children, listen to their dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did you have any family members at all that were similar to you that you were able to talk with this about late in the later years or
No,
no?
no. My
Yeah.
father's family is Orthodox Jewish, but they live further away. We weren't as close with them. But when I remembered the experience in my 50s in therapy, I got past the darkness part. So I
Mhm.
really advise people, if you want to work at something and there's really a hard part, maybe it's just the beginning. Keep going, and you might uncover something wonderful. And I did. And when I was out of my body, there were these two beings on either side of me, and they were so nice. They were like you, honey.
Mm.
They they were so lovely, except they were made of light. They weren't made of flesh the way we are. And they looked like regular people. They didn't look like angels, although angel was not in my vocabulary as an atheist child.
Hmm.
I don't know I would have ever seen wings, because I was so programmed just to see people. But they looked like lovely people who were helpful spirits. And they were so kind. And they showed me two very interesting things. They showed me doing art. Now, before that, I was like every child, interested in doing some art, some this, some that. But after the near-death experience, I really focused on art. And I could see me coloring in and drawing books. And it turned out that was really helpful for me, because uh, after the near-death experience, I stuttered. I stuttered for a year. And
Hmm.
doing the art and coloring the coloring books, it was my own art therapy. It calmed me down, gave me enough self-confidence that I could do something, so that the stuttering left. I mean, now if I'm extremely upset, I'll stutter. Oh, it's rare, but I'll stutter. But mostly I just speak regularly.
So
And
did you grow up in New York?
I grew up in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn?
I was born in Gravesend. I grew up in Midwood.
Hmm.
These are not the hot areas of Brooklyn. This isn't, Brooklyn Heights and Williamsburg. These are where families live who are just regular people. And but they also showed me one other thing that I only found out 2 years ago in a seminar. We all had to look back at our lives. It was on hypnosis, and we did our own self-hypnosis. And I was back with my NDE, my near-death experience, and I saw one other thing. I saw me as a child, maybe 8 or 9, and I had blonde hair. Of course, I always had blonde hair, and I had pigtails that stuck out like that. My grandma used to, make me pigtails, and I'm standing up, and I'm writing. I'm standing at a desk, and I'm writing, and I never realized that was part of the NDE, but I became a writer as well as a painter, and I never knew it until then. So I am a writer now. I mean, obviously, I'm a writer, but I
Yes.
knew it was foretold. So,
So can I say, would that be correct to say that the creativity of art and writing was the path you were going on, and it was being shown to you, and it was giving you what you needed?
yes, yes, you're exactly right. It
That-
was being shown to me, and it was a comfort to a traumatized child.
Yes.
And I tell you, it was very nice on the other side. I
Hmm.
mean, it's much nicer than here.
Yeah.
I said, I said to the spirit, "Can I stay?" It was lovely. And they said, "No, you have work to do." At that moment, I see my mother, and her hands are on my chest. I see water coming out of my mouth, and I'm back in my body.
It's
So,
it also shows you you're sharing with others that it's never too late to approach anything that might be hidden in your body or in your emotions or in your thoughts that you buried down deep inside, which could be affecting certain things you do today because you never maybe addressed or looked at it.
that's 100% perfect. Yeah.
And
And
is
that's
that,
that's my therapy. I do trauma work.
yes.
Ended up being a trauma therapist.
Well, I
And
have
we
to
do that.
say,
We uncover things in meditation and yeah,
well, it's a
it's
wonderful thing that there are therapists or therapists like you that bring spirituality into
yeah,
their work. It's not just clinical things they learned in school of how to handle a patient. That makes a big difference, I think, in the healing process for the patients that would come to you as opposed to ones they may go to that have no connection to their spirit. I think it's a very important part of being a really good therapist. So I've seen both, and the ones that have done their own work and their own experiences have so much more to give because they've come through this. So today we're going to talk about we're going to have a PowerPoint presentation for you to share with everyone the art and the symbolism and spirituality behind the work that you have. So I would like to start with that now, and if there's time at the end, I have many questions here I can ask, but some of them may actually be answered while we're listening to the presentation. Um, I did have one quick question about your Jewish life, and I just wanted to know if you followed, as a teenager, you became into the Jewish traditions, and I'm just wondering, now in life, are you on the atheist path like your father, or you are on the Jewish path now, or are you
well,
on?
the father's family were Orthodox Jewish. Now I'm a mystic. I consider myself Jewish.
Yes,
And I had a very nice genetic reading. I had two, one that said I was mostly European, but the other one that said for the little bit that I wasn't European, I was all these mixed races. I was so excited, but I knew it. I'm part Asian, I'm part Black, I'm part Native American. So I'm a mixed race Jewish person. That's it.
that's I
That's the way
wish
I see myself.
that's a wonderful collection too that you have.
Yeah, I was so thrilled. Asian, I knew because of my face, and I was told
Oh,
that by dentists. They said, "Oh, you have an Asian mouth bridge." I don't know what they said, some sort of Asian structure. And then I knew, I was told I was had black heritage by a dermatologist. He said, even though your skin is light, the texture is like African American. He said, I hope I didn't offend you. I said, offend, I'm thrilled. This is so great. And I kind of knew it because in high school, I had read about segregation, and it was so awful. And of course,
yes.
I was raised in a family that was so diverse and so pro-integration. And I found out that one of the ways that Southerners would try to distinguish who was a black person versus a white person was look at the amount of moons they had on their fingernails. And white people apparently have moons on all their fingernails. I only have moons on 6 fingernails. So I got up in front of the class and announced I was 40% black. But then I translated it into marching for integration. And I was with Dr. King and 250,000 other people in Washington when he gave his magnificent I Have a Dream speech.
That's
So
wonderful.
yeah, so it translates like that.
That was you were there for a piece of history.
Yeah, oh, it was so special.
I
You
have to say, my husband's uh, DNA or ancestry that came back, it's like you, where he's all over the world. There's parts of
nice.
him from all the races. But when I did mine with 23andMe, it was so disappointing. I was so sad. I was 99.9%, I think, Eastern European. And I was 0 point something Neanderthal. So the only thing I had
Oh,
that wasn't European was Neanderthal, and that was it.
Neanderthal, that's so great. I always wanted to see if I had Neanderthal heritage. They were very spiritual. We're now starting to respect Neanderthal creativity. They
Oh,
buried
wonderful.
their dead facing the east, intimating rebirth. There are lots of beautiful artifacts in no, like 70,000 years ago, 80,000 years ago, funerary artifacts, which we still don't know whether they were human or our cousins, the Neanderthals. They were
Oh,
spirituals. They've been underrated, and I think they're getting a bit more due now. I'd love to be
well,
part Neanderthal.
I must have had a lifetime there at some point.
Maybe you were making beautiful things.
Who know, maybe I was doing, who knows what I was doing.
Who knows?
So
But they were,
let's,
they were, I admire them.
so I think, shall we start our PowerPoint now?
Oh, sure. Do you
And
want a share? Let
okay, and I have it all ready to go, and I think if you start, it'll just come right up. So let's see what
Okay.
happens.
All right. Let's see. Click share.
Yep, my screen says that you have started sharing.
Okay. Let's,
Okay,
I can, I can get my, bring it up like this. Do you, okay. I'm putting it in slideshow mode.
perfect.
Do you see it?
Yep,
I do too.
perfect. All right,
So at least the two
I'm
of
gonna
us
be
should see it. I
quiet.
hope everyone sees it.
I'm gonna be quiet and join on the
Um,
journey of seeing your beautiful art.
okay. You don't have to be so quiet. You can talk.
Okay.
It's okay. I have a special shamanism part, especially, because of you as a shaman. So, say
Well,
if you
thank
if you
you.
have things to say, please, because you're so insightful.
Uh,
So I'm going to speak today about the spiritual and visual art, and it's the spiritual basis of my visual art and how it connects with the psychology of the human condition. I'm very careful. I write everything out. So if you see me glance down, I didn't want to forget things. And um, let's look at the ancient history of spirituality and art. Uh,
okay.
it's a very long tradition. As I say, it goes back to prehistory. And here's an example, the ancient tradition of spiritual art. And this is the cave art in Lascaux
Oh,
in France. Aurochs, horses, and deers, 17,000 to 22,000 BP in Lascaux, France, which is right near Spain. And it's right near the place in Spain that my father's family came from.
uh-huh.
So it's so beautiful. Um, it's these images are actually a visual prayer because it was this. They were the images of the animals were created during the Ice Age, and that was a time of enormous food insecurity. It was really a harsh climate for people and for non-human animals. And the idea of multiple animals appearing at once, this was in a cave.
Hmm.
Often these are very inaccessible. They're not outside. The outside ones have been lost, over time. But these gave shamans and select others a view of a world with plentiful food.
Hmm.
So they would actually, these animals appearing as a plentiful food source in a time of great hunger would enhance their prayers, and it would act as what we would call a form of positive psychology, convincing them that abundance was possible. And
Hmm.
here's another example, beautiful example of spiritual art. This is our Mother Perpetual Help. It's a 16th century icon of the Virgin Mary and Jesus with angels. Look, he's looking up at the angels. And they're playing music to him. It's in St. Catherine's Monastery in Mount Sinai in Egypt. And holy objects are venerated not only for their beauty, but they function as conduits. They function as prayers, as portals for prayers to reach the divine. And this image is not only beautiful, but it intimates that by its title, Our Mother of Perpetual Help, which invites prayers with the hope of fulfillment.
Yes.
So spiritual art, they're vehicles.
Hmm.
And psychology didn't start in the modern age. These are all examples of psychology and focus and intention. And let's look at our next one. This is a modern photograph of an ancient tradition being carried out by Tibetan monks. They're making a sand mandala, and it's so beautiful. The tradition started 2,500 years ago in India, and it came to Tibet in the 11th century. And they're using a type of work called, let's see, it's called Dortu. Oh, no, no, that's something else. Chakpur, Chak-pur. And you see those metal funnels? They put
Yes.
the pen of pigment in the funnels. The funnels are the Chakpur, and that's how they applied it. And the Tibetans believe that these mandalas generate healing and purification so that we would get blessings even by looking at them now. And,
Am I
you
right
know,
in knowing someone actually just gave me a little bit of sand from a mandala from some
oh,
monks who had created an entire mandala. I don't know if it was San Francisco or somewhere.
yeah,
And then they sweep it all away later.
they do.
And that's the part that blows my mind that this amazing, intricate art is made to then go.
Yeah, the Navajos who do sand paintings do the same thing. They destroy it ritually with prayers. I think it's because if they let it stay longer, it would, it's so delicate, it would become degraded and it would lose its power as a vehicle. That's just my
Ah,
theory.
that's a good
So
theory.
yeah,
I
just
thought
a
maybe it
theory.
was like a lesson in impermanence that
I was just going to say
oh,
you're so right because it's a Buddhist lesson in impermanence that
you
it's a Buddhist
that's a
saying.
lot of art and time and beauty, and then you just let it all go.
That's right.
It would
And
be sort of like doing an oil painting and then, you know, tearing it all up afterwards.
I go, oh my God, I don't even want to. Definitely. But this is destroying it with prayers,
It's
which would
beautiful.
enhance its efficacy. And
Oh,
that's a blessing that you have some of the sand. How nice.
yes, I put it
And
on my altar with my shaman things.
oh, how beautiful. That's the perfect place. So I do in the 20th and 21st century, I have been doing spiritual art. It's,
Hmm.
as a child, I would never have imagined I would even say anything like this, but here I am as a mystic. By the way, I didn't mention I opened when I opened up in my late 20s, one of the ways I opened was not only seeing my nice neighbor Vivian, but I started to meditate and I realized my energies didn't end with my body. I mean, they would extend. So that's when I realized the body is only a part of us,
Yes.
that we are greater than our bodies. So here's the next slide. Spiritual Art by Tobi Zausner. And we're going to look at the spiritual person. And this is
Oh,
Quanta Light. I have this hanging in my hallway. So when you come into my apartment, he greets you. And he is standing in light. He's a beautiful, holy person. Even his spirit bird is in light.
hmm.
And he is holding smoke. And here's we all have auras. And I began to see them again in my late 20s. So I read books to try to know what they're like. But I see differently from a lot of the books. I tend to see psychological aspects in
Hmm.
auras more. Maybe that's because of my field or the field I was going to go into.
I
But
think so. That would make sense.
yeah, it would. It would. So here's a painting of him.
Can you
Uh,
tell us about him a little, who he was?
yeah, just gonna. Here's Quanah Parker. Quanah means fragrant in the Comanche language, and his second name, Parker, comes from his mother, Cynthia Ann Parker, who was a white woman captured by the Comanche tribe as a child. She grew up in the tribe and married Chief Petanicona. And as a spiritual person, and he became a great chief. There
Mm,
was a lot of prejudice against him because he had mixed ancestry, but he just persevered and he became a leader and
mm.
he led the people who had previously been prejudiced against him. It's a good lesson for all of us.
Yes.
And so he was he was the greatest chief of the Comanche. He never lost a single battle with the white settlers, nor did the army ever take him captive. And he adopted a policy of assimilation. He encouraged self-sufficiency, work, and education for his tribe. And he also learned English and he lobbied Congress on behalf of the rights of the Comanche. He was an amazing person. He negotiated grazing lands with cattlemen. He became a reservation judge, an investor in a railroad, and a friend of Theodore Roosevelt. But with all this, he retained his Native American spiritual traditions. He never cut his braids. But
Hmm.
also, you see the smoke in his hands?
Yes.
When I painted this, I said, "Oh, I want to show him with the non-physical, the soul." Turns out in the Native American church, it was very focused on peyote. I didn't know that,
Uh-huh.
but we know in when we're creative, we're in an altered state of consciousness. As you mentioned, my books that we see things more and we see far distant more than in regular waking life. So this
Yes.
is the next. This is called Sameness, Depth of Mystery. And it looks very hierarchical, but the painting is actually about the opposite. It's about non-hierarchy. Everything fades into darkness or light. And also they're standing at the edge of the water as if they're waiting for you to come. They're waiting for pilgrims to come for realization. So the work refers to the Buddhist Heart Sutra, which says form is emptiness and emptiness is form. And having a little boy hold the umbrella for the monk. The umbrella could also signify the Bodhi tree, where
Hmm.
where Buddha became enlightened. But having the little boy hold the umbrella for the monk shows that even the smallest stimulus can produce a great response. In this case, enlightenment, or in the case of all of us, change, transformation. And sometimes these small stimuli, we don't even know them with our conscious mind. The unconscious recognizes them. And that can be in negative aspects when people have panic attacks. They're registering unconscious stimuli. But you can also register positive stimuli and be transformed.
I find it interesting that in that painting,
Yeah,
in the
shall I go
monk,
back, honey?
in the monk, yeah, just go back for, it's okay, whichever. The monk doesn't have a face that we can see,
I
but the
know.
child has like such a striking a face that draws me in, just like with such intensity and beautiful lips. And yet, but the monk we cannot see. I just found that very interesting.
I did that and I wanted to repaint it and give him a face
Uh-huh.
when I moved here, and I would love for him to have a face. But this is an oil painting, and I'm no longer living in the loft because the landlord threw all the artists out, and I don't have enough airflow to work in oil. If
Hmm.
I did, he'd have a face.
Well,
Thank you
it's
for bringing that up.
lovely.
Thank you. It's a peaceful painting I have it hanging. So here we go. This is when we're reluctant to engage the world with our spirituality and our strength. There are times you just look at past events, past traumas, past indignities, past hurts, when you really are in a better way than that. The tree that he's sitting on, the tree stump, it was cut down, but look, it has new life now.
Yes.
So he is the rising sun. We're all our own rising sun. So if we could stand up and shine, we would be better off, and so would the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And now images of meditation. So this is called birth.
Oh,
Isn't that lovely? It's the
lovely.
baby pointing to the Holy Spirit, you could say, or his totem animal, or whatever you. I feel that art is fluid, and multiple interpretations, only bring more appreciation to the work. Marcel Duchamp, the artist, said that work is 50% with the artist and 50% with the audience. So I always invite people's interpretation because I learn. I don't know everything I paint. I mean, I paint largely unconsciously. We live largely unconsciously.
So that's a conch shell
It's a
that,
conch shell, and I
yes.
put it, and then later I found out that it's a Buddhist listening to the heavens.
Oh,
Isn't that lovely?
it's a very kind of Buddha
Never knew
face
that.
too on the child.
Yeah, and I love birds, so anyway, that's birth. Here is dream vision. This
Oh,
lovely horse is her name is Molly. She's in horse heaven many years, but she was a beautiful, large, gentle white horse. And she lived in Pennsylvania. My friends had lovely Molly. And this is a kiva, and that's a ritual place for ceremonies in Native American tradition. And I don't, it's very interesting to me because I never knew whether the person in the kiva exited the ladder, and you see the last rungs of the ladder, you can't
mm-hmm.
go up with your feet. You've got to jump, you've got to fly up. Whether they rode the horse of the spirit away or whether they became the horse of the spirit. So I don't know.
Well, I have to say, my first experience and my first Huichol friend, Miguel, who
Wow.
ended up opening up a whole world for me, of which to this day I'm still involved with the Huichols.
You
I
know.
met him in the 80s, in the late 80s, and I was in uh, New Mexico, and I asked him if he wanted to go with me to Bandelier National Monument. And what happened was, when I watched what he did, he was climbing up and down those ladders, and we went inside the kivas, and he did ceremony with me inside the kivas. But the way that he accessed each one going in and out, it was like he was flying from ladder to ladder. And I kept thinking, oh my God, is he going to survive or something? Because I'm like, who does it? But he was
Geez.
very safe in his body, and he just flung from one ladder to the next, and he had no problem connecting and grabbing on, and it was an amazing thing to watch. And he said that he had seen this place in his dreams. So when I took him there, his whole body just went just joyously rushing through these
Wow.
little, their kivas and their, whether it was the sites of where people lived or what did ceremony, we had to do our own interpretation. But in the places he felt we should, we did ceremony, and it was just like that, down a ladder into a hole, down into
Oh,
the ground. Anyhow,
oh,
this picture is just reminding me of that. I had to share that.
oh, I'm very happy. I appreciate all your sharings. I love them. Here's another one. This is called Intercom, and it's the Venerable Zen Master Soen Nakagawa Roshi. He was the abbot of the Ryutaku Monastery in Japan, and
Oh.
he's a teacher, calligrapher, poet, and he rises above the landscape, his hand stopping a volcano. And of course, in meditation, by calming the fires of the mind, clouds will part around your head as they do for the Venerable Roshi. And it reveals the blue, the infinite blue void. And the sun begins to rise over the mental, emotional landscape, and a new day is dawning. And our emotions form an inner landscape, and acknowledging their presence with detachment and not getting controlled by them produces a state of calm. And the Venerable Soen Roshi was instrumental in bringing Zen Buddhism to the Western world. His Dharma heir is Ido Shimano Roshi in New York, who carries on this tradition. So the next group of images are about activity, and any activity can be spiritual.
Hmm.
And spiritual activities, I've noticed, they're taken from activities of daily life. So there's an overlap here, spiritual activity. This is Hasidim by Tobi Zausner. I'm reading it. And it's a man immersing himself. It's like a self-baptism.
Hmm.
And he's partly submerged in water. The man is from a photograph of a man in Yemen, and Hasidim is a Hebrew word. And putting them together shows my hope for peace in the Middle East. I often do that in my art. I hope for peace in the Middle East. And Hasidim comes from the Kabbalah, and it refers to Chesed, the fourth of the 10 Sephiros. And they're, of course, emanations of power in Kabbalistic thought. And this self-baptism is like bathing in the mercy of God to
Hmm.
bring realization and renewal. And
Hmm.
I think with a spiritual focus, any immersement can become a baptism.
Hmm.
Even anytime you are in the shower, anytime you take a bath, can become spiritually bent.
Hmm.
This is another
Yes.
one. This is Hineni, Here I Am. Hineni is Hebrew for Here I Am. And it's a walk of commitment to the divine. I use several models for this, and I don't even realize the faces come out of my art. I never planned them. This looks like me when I was younger. It became a self-portrait. It's so interesting. I don't look like that now, but I look like that then. And the owl on my shoulder, I didn't plan that. That just kind of emerged from the hair as I was working. Painting is such an unconscious process. It kind of like tricks us that we think it's all conscious because we're saying, oh, I have to fix this finger, I have to fix this elbow, I have to fix her dress. It's, the best stuff comes when I'm not consciously doing. The best stuff comes when it just comes out of my hand without thinking. And the owl, of course, is the symbol of wisdom in our culture. This is about connecting with the divine without going through a house of worship, that anyone can do that. And it's actually that it can happen in solitude. It's the solitude and spiritual focus that we all are capable of. And the full name is Hinoni Hitbodedut. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly. And it's a Hasidic Jewish practice. You walk at night in prayer and reveals the human capacity to communicate directly with the divine. We all have this capacity. And here's the lightning of enlightenment. And written on the ground is a prayer asking to see miracles in this world that we had not realized were there. And this is Star Child, and he's doing Qigong. I do Qigong every day, and I love it. And it's been very good for my health. I also like yoga. But here at Qigong, I should tell you, soaring crane Qigong does not have martial aspects. It enhances the immune system. That's what I do. And in ancient Greek philosophy, Plato's Phaedrus says the stars are a place of transformation. And I think if we do our activities the right way, with awareness in life, then in a sense we too dance in the stars. And the moon is becoming full. And he's a Native American child, but I also put Tibetan aspects on him. I made his clothes partly Tibetan. And the 10 Sephiroth, the lights, there are 10 lights, 10 discs, which become light emanations like the Sephiroth and the Kabbalah. And, there's a part of us that's always a child, always full of possibilities and miracles, and always capable of dancing in the stars. So let's look at our next. The shaman, which is what you are. You're in the Mongolian Buryat tradition. Did I say that correctly? You say it.
Yes, you did. Boreat.
Buryat. Okay, thank you. This is intention. And here's the shaman holding a globe or circle that indicates wholeness. She's thinking about what to do, and her spirit animal has begun to move.
Are the faces of the people that that in your art, are they actually like this looks to me like someone you might have known, or
I know. Yeah.
are they just from your inside feeling how the face comes out?
Uh, it's so complicated. This is not the face. I found an old photograph of a Native American woman just standing with her hands by her side, but she spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look at all like her. The only thing that looks like her, this is the dress, the way she was dressed. I had the feeling that she had really capacities, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that the caption of the photo didn't say.
It's a beautiful picture.
But I don't know who she is. But the
Right.
faces just come out. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they're people I know. Sometimes the one before, walking in the stars, that turned out to be me. I had no plans. Sometimes they're relatives, friends. once it was a worst person I met the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was years ago before I realized that time is not the linear day-to-day construct that we think we live in, but is actually multidimensional and can be planar so that we can see in the future. And but before that, I got so nervous. The next day I painted out and made a new face. So
Your
here,
precognition was coming through in your art. That's really
yeah.
wonderful.
Oh, it does. It does all the time,
Ah,
all the time. Here's another. The shaman. This is her. She has a drummer, and this is her spirit. Her spirit animal is a swan. Now, I've
mm,
never heard of that, but I love swans. They're so beautiful.
hmm.
So I made a swan, and she's standing there in meditation, her mind like the full moon.
Beautiful.
Isn't it? Thank you.
Yes.
And here's a Gaia. This is a shaman as goddess of the earth, and the bird loves her, just her lighting on her hand. And
Whoa.
he's holding a seed, an acorn, from which mighty oaks grow. So
And
let's.
the hair becomes the
Yes. Oh, you're so good. I should have mentioned. Thank you. That's why it's so
oh,
important that you talk. Her hair becomes the leaves of the trees. Her moccasins go out into the ground, the grass
yes.
and the vegetation of the ground, because she is of the earth.
It's like she's one with the earth.
Exactly. You're absolutely right.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I did unrealizingly, of course, which is the way I paint, unrealizingly, I did images of the strong feminine,
Mm-hmm.
which I grouped here. This is a drawing I did, and I always say this is in celebration. Oops, I'm sorry, this fell down from my desk. This is in
Okay.
celebration of Black History Week, and it's a drawing I did because I was so happy that women of color were becoming successful in the world. They
Yes.
were breaking through. They were, they were shattering glass ceilings. Um, and so here she is. She shatters the glass barrier of previous limitations, and she's breaking forth into the light of a new dimension of self.
It's,
And the shape of her entry is a mandorla, and it's a form created by the intersection of two circles that can symbolize the union of physical and the divine. In ancient Christian paintings, you will often see Jesus standing in a mandorla, the
I
connection of the physical and the divine.
it's a funny coincidence, but just this morning, David and I were discussing
Yeah,
the powerful Black women that was his mother and his mother's best friends who
yeah.
have now passed on. The last one we lost about, I think it was 2 years ago.
Oh,
And
sorry.
she was the first Black timpanist, and she played in the New York in the symphony and here in San Francisco. But it was the personalities of these women. They were such powerful women. And in their day, growing up, in the 40s and the 50s, being a Black woman and trying to
Uh,
get ahead was not an easy
uh,
experience. And
yeah,
their personalities were the kind of women that made it through and made a difference because of who they were.
yeah,
And we were just saying, who's going to replace those kind of powerful Black women that have now passed on? Because they come from a different generation than what is in the new. So I'm glad to see this picture of a young woman breaking through. It makes me feel that there will be other strong, powerful women coming up.
definitely. Many, many coming up and really making a new world for everybody.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Thank you. And this turned out to look like me too a little bit with dark hair.
Ah,
My father's family comes from Spain, so they had dark hair. He married a woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. I look like my grandma. Uh,
ah.
they were kicked out of Spain with the Inquisition, so they came to Poland and then Austria. But here is this young woman all dressed up. I love dressed up. and she is a healer, and she's feeding the birds spiritual knowledge and wisdom. And you see the gold disc. I don't know if you can see, it's actually connected upward. And the design on the disc is a tesseract, a four-dimensional cube. This is the
Oh,
way a cube looks. If we saw it with four-dimensional eyes, this is the way a cube would look to us.
wow.
So it's getting information from another dimension. And if you noticed, her hands are small versions of the great disc, and she's become the conduit
Hmm.
and for that information. And the words, a compassionate healer, awareness arising out of the ocean of the unconscious. Everything arises out of the ocean of the unconscious. And again, lightning, the image of symbolizing lightning, shamanism. And also, lightning is a symbol of illumination. And
It's like coming out from the ocean, and
that's right.
it's beautiful. And is the disc in her hand looks like a mandala. It looks like the
It
shape.
does. It does. And you're right. It's the lightning that comes out of the ocean of the unconscious as
Oh,
inspiration in the conscious mind.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's
For someone like myself who can only draw stick figures, and who, when I do remote viewing, I would have to explain to Russell what the actual picture was because nobody could tell what it was they were looking at. I have
you can.
great admiration for the creativity and artistic ability that people like you and others have. It's not part of mine comes in other ways, but I really, I don't know how you do this. It's just, and it looks so incredible. Each detail, how to make a
Oh,
face like that. It just, to me, to me, it's amazing, very amazing.
thank you. I can spend 15 years on a drawing.
Oh
13.
my God.
I draw it, I think it's finished, and then years later, oh my gosh, this needs work. So I'm doing that now. I'm finishing up a whole bunch of works, but I think you can draw better than you realize. Maybe someday we'll sit and we'll have a little session and you'll do it.
Okay, I'll come over to visit you in New York.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay,
So
so go on. I don't want to interrupt the show. It's
no,
very,
you are. It's good because you give more to the show when you interrupt, and
ah,
they're not interruptions, they're additions. So think of them that way.
okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. This is Shakina
Oh,
in Hebrew, or Sakina as she's known in Arabic. And she's the feminine aspect of the God. In Christianity, some theologians connect Shekinah with the divine presence. And she is within us. She's an indwelling holy presence. She's associated with heavenly light. I didn't know that when I did this. I only found out
oh.
afterwards. It's always amazing to me to find out about my work after I do it. I'm a very unconscious artist, but
So
I think
is it
all
like being
artists
in
are
a zone,
unconscious.
like when they talk about, people in sports or something, where something happens and they go into like a zone, and
Yeah,
that's where everything, the creativity just flows through, or the power or the strength.
yeah, yes. It's a flow. That's what Csikszentmihalyi investigated.
Also, the motion that you show with the ribbons and the dress, the motion feels so like it's moving in the picture itself.
Oh, thank you. I worked so hard on that. I probably
Oh,
worked 13 years on this. Yeah,
uh,
no, 14, 2012 to 2000 to 2026.
these must be like having friends in your house. It must be hard
They,
to let go of them.
yeah, but I'm ready to let go of them all now. I feel like I have to sell everything. I just feel that I want to get them into the world.
Yes, let
Oh,
other people experience it.
yeah, do good with them. So,
Hmm.
but let's she's guiding the soul on a path to light. And psychologically, light can symbolize higher consciousness, clarity, realization. And Jungian psychology has found that cross culturally, the soul is often portrayed as feminine.
Mm,
It's interesting.
never heard
And
that.
here is Inner Isaiah. I found an old picture of a woman in World War II making bullets with a bullet making machine.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, she fascinated me. And I changed the face. I changed it so much in my photos. They don't, and here she is, but instead of bullets, she's making planets.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's transform. It's got a multivalent symbolism. It's both anti-war statement and a metaphor about transforming our emotions and using the strength that we used for anger, for war, for creativity and creating new worlds. And because this woman's creating worlds with a machine that used to make bullets,
Yeah.
and its creativity is turning negative to positive. And you notice that they're connected. The machine is her.
I was just going to say that the machine is connected to part of her.
That's right.
And I
Absolutely.
see there's some writing, but my eyesight is too poor to
Yeah, it's hard to read it.
the
And
inner or
it
something.
says the inner Isaiah, because I realized later that this refers to the Old Testament
Mm,
quote from Isaiah 2, 3, 4. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So she's our inner Isaiah, the
hmm.
part of us that chooses connection over confrontation and peace over war. And when our inner Isaiah transformed aggression into creativity, then we too create worlds. Every piece of creativity is its own self-opening world. I think Gadamer was the one who said that every work of art is its own self-opening world. And
She's
initially, I wanted to portray a Newtonian apparatus, regular machine,
hmm.
but creating nonlinear planetary worlds. I figure it changed. It should change. So the machine became hyperdimensional, like an Escher. I love his work, where staircases lead up and down, and when space is no longer three-dimensional.
So she's creating worlds instead of destroying worlds.
Exactly. That's perfect. It's exactly it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Here, next is the journey. The
Hmm.
spiritual journey, of course, is a metaphor for our journey in life. And here's Wind on the Lake. And it comes from Inner Truth, which is the 61st hexagram in the I Ching, Chinese Book of Changes. It says, the wind blows over the lake and stirs the surface of the water. Thus, visible effects of the invisible manifest themselves. So the mother and child move on the rippling water with no visible means of support. And so much in our life seems to arise from unseen causes. There's always a cause. To me, her concentration is moving them. You work with telekinesis. So this painting has an aspect of telekinesis. She's moving them in the physical world through thought.
Is she sitting on top of
He's
this
sitting
chair?
on a chair and he's standing,
And
and
he's
they're connected. Yeah.
beautiful. It's lovely.
So
I, I
here,
I feel like also in these paintings,
yeah, I
I'm
should.
seeing your genetic DNA between Asian painting, Native American
Yeah,
painting, that there's like pieces of who you found out you were also being coming out in these paintings.
that's very true. But I found out afterwards.
Yes, I'm saying
All
that's
of
what I
them,
mean. I think
yes,
you
yes, it's from my
precognitively,
DNA. Exactly, you're exactly right. But I didn't realize it.
precognitive art.
I think a self-expression of what we are.
Mm,
This was the color of Vivian's ghost. Remember, I said my nice neighbor had committed suicide because she got involved with the wrong people, a cult, and
right.
uh, her that was the color of the mist that I saw. This is called Travelogues, And it's actually a painting about time travel and a study in resilience. Those are the two aspects. The image, and I I started it as a study about time travel inspired by Einstein's theory of general relativity, which says that in certain instances, time can curve and even form a loop. At the intersection of that loop, it's theoretically possible to meet your own self in time, according to the equations. The German philosopher Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, he had this experience of meeting himself in time. In his autobiography, he wrote that while he was traveling to Drusenheim, he saw himself in his mind's eye coming toward coming toward him down the road, but the image of himself was wearing clothes he didn't recognize.
Uh-huh.
And 8 years later, Goethe was at the exact point on the road, but this time he was coming from Drusenheim and realized that he was wearing the clothes he had previously seen but couldn't recognize years ago.
Hmm.
So there was an actual incidence in time. I didn't know that when I made the painting. I was just thinking, how would it be if you met yourself in time? Would you be a ghost? How would you feel? But this is Goethe did. And the theoretical physicist, Hyung Tse, um, looked at the painting and he said the figure in the work looked to him like the mathematician Kurt Gödel meeting himself in time. He noted that Gödel created a closed time-like solution to Einstein's theory of general relativity. In other words, he did the mathematics of the time loop that elucidated part of Einstein's theory, and that Gödel also wore the same kind of hat.
Wow.
It's so interesting. I found pictures of him, and he does. He wears the same kind of hat. So, but there's another aspect of this painting which is very important psychologically, because people have looked at this and they found solace and resilience because the man in the painting represents all of us. Like him, we too can persevere. I'm very interested in resilience, perseverance. I do trauma work in my therapy. So it's perseverance and resilience are so important in getting better. And like him, we too can persevere. Look at him. His buttons are gone or useless. So we can also hold our coats closed against the cold. And if we
Yeah.
have no gloves, we warm one hand with the other, just the way he's doing. The
Also,
important thing is to keep going because it doesn't snow forever.
the
So,
the the way you make the invisible, how you could, like, I would never know how to make the invisible because it's invisible, but you were able to paint the invisible. I mean, I feel
isn't
like when
that
I look at
wonderful?
the other image here on the left, I'm seeing the invisible of what the person sees in the invisible. So that's incredible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm sure Vivian visited all of us in the building. We were about 5 floors of artists. And
Wow.
thank you. You have these great comments. Wow. That's why I'm so happy that you're talking while I'm while I'm
Oh,
presenting. And here is this lovely little baby,
uh,
philosopher stone, and he's reaching realization. And in Jungian psychology, the philosopher's stone is an alchemical symbol of inner illumination. And
mhm.
he's a little boy from Yemen, and he's all of us reaching for that light. And his winding uphill path is difficult. Look, life is not easy, uh, but hardships generate resilience. And that's symbolized by the toad. And with Shakespeare's quotation, sweet are the uses of adversity, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a precious jewel in its head. And the figure is a child because achieving inner goals, and when we achieve inner goals, it feels like a psychological rebirth. And you can see, I wrote the Shakespeare's quote in the road around the toad. So continuing with the idea of journey and travel,
Mhm.
this is the burdened traveler. Am I taking too much time? How are we
No,
doing?
no, no. We're just right now, we're at our 1 hour, so we have plenty of time.
Okay.
Just this is a very special episode, and whatever time it takes us to go through the presentation, we want to do.
Oh, thank you. I've done most of it. I just didn't want to overstep the time limit.
No, no, we're doing great. We're exactly at 1 hour.
Okay, thank you. This is the burdened traveler. So many of us feel this way. And when I work with my clients, and I often in the meditation, I do hypnosis, I have to say, if you find any burdens on your shoulders, just
Hmm.
let them go because we carry them psychologically. We carry them in our aura, we carry them in the energy field. Just
Yeah.
let them go, have them tumble away. So this is called memories. It's an image of somebody dragging old memories when you
Oh,
just let go. And
God.
it's yeah, and it's an emotional landscape. You cannot drag a cart with little wheels through thick snow, but so it's an emotional psychological landscape. She can't let go of the past, which is um, a similar idea to the man who is in the rising sun. And she doesn't need this stuff. If we could jettison unnecessary encumbrances, our inner world would change from the cold, barren isolation to a green countryside of rebirth because we have that inside us. We have rebirth inside us. As the Jungian therapist Marion Woodman said, a life well lived is a series of birth canals. Yeah. And the painting, I keep saying throughout this my leitmotif of painting is unconscious. It was only months later, this was also an image of me when I was forced to move and find a new home. My
Hmm.
landlord had borrowed money from the wrong people, and the new landlord pressured all the artists in the building to leave.
Oh,
So it's me as well as everyone. And sometimes, though, our burdens are spiritual and that we carrying them as part of our path. This is a pilgrim. You see, he's carrying this load, but if you
yes.
look at the closings on the sack, it's his cross to bear.
Oh,
It's like Jesus with Golgotha, carrying the cross. And of course, there's a bird next to him. And right at the bottom is this little red salamander. And it's an
hmm.
ancient alchemical symbol. The salamander was believed to be able to withstand fire and come out intact, like a
Yeah.
transforming individual who goes through crisis and
Hmm.
emerges whole. And the painting refers to the uh, the two quotes from the Bible. The Old Testament Psalms 5:9, make thy way straight before my face. And look at that long road that he's on. And also the New Testament, Matthew 7:14, straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. That was the initial inspiration. And it's not easy. And you were speaking about precognition. Those stones, I was struggling with them, struggling with them. Oh my gosh. Then finally, I see these stones in my mind's eye, these white stones. I say, yeah, they look nice. I'm going to paint them. 6 months later, on a trip to San Francisco, there they were.
Oh, they do look
Yeah.
like they go on into infinity.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, right between the legs. You look between the legs and it just keeps going.
I tell he's come a long ways, and so is this fellow.
Hmm.
This is the gateless gate. And he doesn't realize you can't see it. Actually, I think I'm going to make this more prominent. Can you see there's a light? He's almost at the light, but he's so overwhelmed with his fatigue that he doesn't realize that there's light right in front of him, that
Oh,
he's actually reached his goal. And but he's so overcome with his exhaustion. Exhaustion turns us inward. It's
Mhm.
very hard to combat our exhaustion and raise the mind to another level that we can see the positive and what we've accomplished. And that we have here. He's almost there. And, it's the white light of realization that he journeyed to reach. He's almost there and he can make it if he looks up and counters the depression of exhaustion. Exhaustion is depressing.
Mhm.
It's physical state that causes a mental response.
In your work as a therapist, do
Yeah.
you ever share any of these paintings with, like, say, a depressed person who came in, or any of these images that might open up something for them? Or is this just, that's not something that's part of the therapist work?
I really don't. On the only very rare occasions, maybe I should. Maybe that's a good idea. Possibly if I showed some people. I mean, they know where my website is, the art website. So I
Hmm.
kind of have kept those two worlds separate. But
Okay.
maybe you're right. Maybe I should show them.
Oh,
Um,
I was just asking, not suggesting that.
no, it's interesting. And this gateless gate actually refers to a capacity for transcendence.
Hmm.
And it's named after I don't know if you can call it a poem, but several lines from the great Chinese Zen master Mu Mon. He's also known as Wu Mon Hui Kai. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly. His dates are 1183 to 1260.
Mm.
And he wrote something called The Gateless Gate. The great path has no gates. Thousands of roads enter it. When one passes through this gateless gate, one walks freely between heaven and earth. And this
Mm.
man is just at the cusp of reaching it. And
Mm.
he's overwhelmed. He's got to get himself together and see that the light is inches from his hands. And, how many times have we all been close to a goal without realizing it? So
In the bottom of the painting, I see sort of like a semicircle of white.
that's his light. Yes.
That's his light.
Now I think I'm going to make that brighter because I don't think it's obvious enough.
Yeah,
And I
I
may
think that's good.
may
Yeah.
make it as bands, to
Hmm.
show that there's light coming. And he just maybe I'll make it a little higher that he's just touching. We'll see. I never know.
Okay.
It has to, I do it, then I erase it, and then I do it. So what you see is when you look at my drawings, you see the result of infinite erasures.
Hmm.
So we're near the end now because our last section is the spiritual psychological goal.
Perfect.
Yeah. And here's night
Oh,
birds.
what a
I've done this
joyous.
since night and day. And yeah. And the Kabbalah, the Jewish Kabbalah says, when we sleep, our souls travel home. I just want to say that that the journey that I've been showing you, and I'm showing you here, is a metaphor for the spiritual path, and that there are as many paths as there are travelers who journey on them.
Hmm.
Everyone has their own path. Just find it. And you may not even realize that you're already on it. So here's night birds. Even we can fly through darkness and be happy. And this is, of course, birds are psychopomps, spirits for the soul. They were considered that because they could fly through the air, they could swim in the water and walk on the ground. They could go through multiple dimensions of travel. And the Kabbalah says that when we sleep, our soul travels home. And this is the part of our soul, the little child that's never forgotten how to fly.
Hmm.
And there are moments too in waking life when we feel connected to an inner joy. And that joy is part of us. And it's not always access, but it has nothing to do with physical acquisitions or a new item you bought in the store. That becomes a used item the minute you buy it.
Hmm.
Joy is never used up. It's eternal. Everyone has it.
Yes.
It's much better than shopping, addictions, anything. It's really at the basis. So we all have the capacity to uncover joy and bring it forth, and we can share it with others. It's contagious. So
And I love that he's flying, or she, he or she is
yeah, I don't know
flying,
either.
is flying on a magic carpet.
Isn't that fun? I made that up.
Yes.
I like magic carpets. I just made it up. I figure, and it looks Middle Eastern, doesn't it? From the
Yes.
carpets in the Middle East. He's
Yes.
the he's I think Central Asian originally. I mean, I made a different face. It looks like someone I know. It wasn't intended like that, but it turned out looking like her, which is always fun.
And
Um,
the bird.
the bird, I love pigeons. I feed the birds in New York. I don't know if I should mention that. I don't, I don't feed them in front of people's houses. Nobody, and I feed them seeds so they clean up. I don't make dirt. So,
Well, that's lovely. And it looks like he's the magic carpet. It looks like he has a tree that's, like a tree of life or something under him. I
oh,
don't know.
thank you. I was hoping for that. You see, this is so great. Thank you. Thank you. It's exactly what I wanted. Those beautiful Middle Eastern carpets are so intricate. I couldn't start doing that. I said, oh, what could I do? And the tree of life, the tree at the center of the world, the
Ah,
um, uh, the historian of religions, I believe he was from University of Chicago. He's a great scholar. Mircea Eliade always writes about the tree. I think at the center of the world, the center of the universe is God. And that's what this magic carpet has,
ah.
the
I,
great tree, the
I,
magic.
you're teaching me how to look at art. I don't know how to do that. And when I'm looking like this, and then I'm saying, oh, wait, look at that. Oh, I really appreciate this.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a joy because I make art all by myself.
Oh,
To hear somebody respond for me it's a great gift.
mm,
So let's look at our last. Oh no, it's the next to last. I This is the eternal present. Again, it's a spiritual image, a little nun appearing in multiple facets because the spiritual world, time is all of one piece,
yeah.
not linear. And she's touching the moon, which is getting larger. She has her bowl, she has her fan, a flower, and the bird is flying to her too. It's the same bird I use for Gaia. I love that little bird.
It's the cutest little bird.
Isn't it so sweet?
Oh,
This is the part of us, the stillness within, the transcendent stillness. She has a rosary, you see.
yes. And six
Transcendent
arms.
six, why not? I always like that in the Kuan Yin statue. You can see behind me. I don't know if you can see them, but I have Kuan Yin statues of many arms. I
Yes.
I love them. And here is our last image. This was
Beautiful image.
my friend Janice who posed for me, and it was from a photograph of a Japanese. I guess it's a ritual for New Year. It was a woman swimming with two umbrellas,
I
and I
love the
made it.
color.
Isn't the color nice? And
Yes.
I didn't realize why I made one umbrella pink and one umbrella white. It was only afterwards that I realized, oh, they're flesh and spirit.
Oh,
You don't know. I mean, or at least I don't know. Maybe other people know more when they make their art. And but I like this because she's holding them both.
mhm.
Because flesh and spirit are coexistent in her mind. And that life is not a condition of either or, but and holding the two umbrellas is like holding both sides of a question and looking at things simultaneously. It's like embracing paradox. And the Catholic theologian Teilhard de Chardin said paradox is the closest we'll ever come to the truth. And she's swimming from bounded into unbounded areas, water, and
And she
and I
doesn't
think
look in fear. She looks very relaxed.
she doesn't she? She looks so relaxed. My friend doesn't have red hair, or this is a long time ago. She didn't have red hair. I said, "It's okay if I make you with red hair." She says, "Fine." I said, painting. She had brown hair, light brown hair. Um, but it's about integration. It's about the integration of ourselves, and it's reachable for everyone. This is possible for all of us. And that's the last painting. And here are two really fast pictures of the books you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, when walls become doorways, it's about the impact of physical illness on visual artists. It was inspired when I had had ovarian cancer many years ago. And after that, I became a psychologist. So illness can transform.
Yes.
I called it transforming illness. And then here's the next book, Creative Trance, because I noticed when we're in creativity, we're actually in a natural altered state of consciousness.
Hmm.
It's not drugs, it's us. And it's across domains. So we all have that capacity.
I
And thank you for looking at the spiritual and visual art.
This is beautiful. And for any of our listeners who were unable to watch this on YouTube for some reason, I just want to read the website of tobizausner
Thank
.com, all lowercase. And you can reach her at DRTOBIZAUSNER. And last, we have one more, another
another website.
website that's www.lowercase DRTOBIZAUSNER.com.
Now that's my therapy website. There's no art, but it's very relaxing. So
Ah,
if you're stressed, you can just click on it and you'll see beautiful ocean and inspiring, quotes. So it might be a help. And I have an audio of a meditation for people. So
well, I'm so glad you said that because this is going to be just our first podcast. We have to have a second podcast about your work as a therapist because we don't have any time today for that. And I feel that's the another part of you that's also very important to share.
thank
And today was our art show. So this was
you.
this is wonderful. So can I see you again? Let's see. Can you
Oh,
That's the
yeah,
last slide, so I'd like to see your face. Let's see where you are.
a wave.
Okay, I'm waiting. I have to let you do it. You're in the control of the
Okay, let
PowerPoint.
me stop share.
Okay. Oh, there we are.
Okay, there we are again.
Hi.
You,
So this is was this was a wonderful show, and I've never had one like this. So
thank you.
being able to have you share your art and explain it, I encourage anyone who's listening to this on Spotify or Google to stop listening to it and go to YouTube so you can see all the visual and understand what we're talking about. And this is also the part of the show where I like to ask our guests if there's something, I call it the words of wisdom. If there's anything, you've been giving us lots of words of wisdom throughout this, but if there's anything you'd like to wrap up the show with to share with the listeners about art, your life, spirituality, whatever comes to mind.
Oh, I think to say to people, you have greatness within you. You have more gifts than you realize. And if we can concentrate on the present and bringing them out, you'll make a better future, not only for yourself, but for everyone. We're all excited to see your gifts.
Ah, that's very, very beautiful. So if you could just sit tight for a minute while I close out the show. I want to thank everyone for joining us today and seeing all the beautiful art of Tobi Zanhauser, and you can check her out on her websites. I want to thank my children, Nancy and Richard, for posting, producing, and getting my show up every 2 weeks for everyone. And I want to thank my husband, David, for writing the descriptions so that they all have commas and punctuations. So remember, the most important thing is sharing your stories because stories can heal. And we look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks. and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful spring that has sprung. And we'll see you soon. So we'll talk soon. Have a great day. Bye.
Right.